Good evening, everyone. Now, I guess you can hear me. Had to wake you up. Welcome to the City of Paris Planning Commission last meeting of the year. Now, there's one on January 1st, but we decided we were going to skip that one. I guess that's okay. Okay. Anyway, it's exactly 6:04 p.m., and it definitely is the last time of the year when we appreciate all the support we've gotten from staff, and to make it this far, it feels like actually spring or summer outside, but sooner or later it'll start feeling again like fall. And with that, we have a roll call, and there we go.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Here.
Commissioner Lopez,
Here.
Vice Chair Shively,
Here.
Chair Hammond.
Here.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll have a pledge of allegiance by Commissioner Jimenez. Thank you very much. Item 4, there's no presentations that I know of. So we move on to item 5, consent calendar. Planning Commission minutes for December 4, 2024. Were there any corrections, deletions, additions? None? Oh, you weren't here, okay. Well, you definitely wouldn't have. At this time, we open it up for public comment on the consent calendar. Anyone wishing to address the Planning Commission on the consent calendar item only is welcome to come forward now. Seeing none, we close the public comment and move for a motion. Oh, just verbally.
I'll make a motion to.
Okay, moved by Vice Chair Shively,
I'll second it.
seconded by Commissioner Lopez.
There we go. Commissioner Jimenez,
Abstain.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Shively,
Yes.
Chair Hammond.
Yes. Oh,
With a vote of 3 and 1 abstain, this motion is approved.
thank you very much. We move on to the public hearing portion, item 6A. Plan Development Overlay Zone 22-05152, tentative track map 22-05153, TTM 37907, Development Plan Review 22-00014, continued by default from December 4th, 2024, meeting to a lack of quorum, which we had today. A proposal to consider the following entitlements to facilitate a residential development on 12.8 acres located north of Metro Road between McKimball Road and A Street. Number 1, Plan Development Overlay Zone to rezone 12.8 acres from the R6000 zone to the R6000 PD zone. 2, the tentative tract map to subdivide 12.8 acres into 91 residential lots. And number 3, Development Plan Review for review of the site plan and building elevations. Requested action is continuance of this item to off calendar. And with that, if we have any, and well, of course it's going to be me, ex parte communications, any site visits?
I have none.
Okay, and I will recuse myself for whatever time, for a short time, but I'm going to recuse myself due to litigation, previous litigation, and living in proximity of less than 1,000 feet. I have to do it. Right back. Other side.
Do we have any expedite communications? No, okay. So go ahead and open public comment. Does any member of the public wish to speak on this agenda item, 6A? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public comment. So this is just a continuation to off calendar. If nobody has any issues, can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I second.
Right. Motion from Commissioner Lopez, second from Commissioner Jimenez.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Shively,
Yes.
Chair Hammond is recused himself from this item.
Thank you.
Just
We'll
for
go-
clarification, the motion was to continue the item off calendar.
Correct. And since that is finished.
With a
we'll go
vote of 3 and 1 abstain?
One, no vote, or recused.
It doesn't show. Sorry.
I'll go grab Hammond real fast.
Go back to the item. Sorry,
Thank
it
you very
didn't
much.
show.
You're in?
Oh, I thought you had some. Okay. We through?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're good.
Thank you. You didn't give me enough time to back there.
I didn't
Couldn't
want
sneak
you to-
anything, so, okay. We move on to item 6B. Tentative parcel map 22-05363, TPM 38643, and development plan review, DPR 22-00035. A proposal to consolidate 13 vacant parcels into one 29.79 acre parcel to construct a 551,922 square foot industrial warehouse building located east of Webster Avenue, south of Ramona Expressway, west of Brennan Avenue, and north Morgan Street in the light industrial zone of the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan. Requested action is to adopt Resolution 24-20 to certify the final environmental impact report, adopt the mitigation, monitoring, and reporting program, and approve tentative parcel map 22-05363, TPM 38643, and DPR 22-00035 to facilitate the construction of a 551,922 square foot industrial warehouse building on 29.79 acres, based on the findings and subject to the conditions of approval. For item 6B, we were handed comments regarding the project. It was sent to the chairman of the Planning Commission from Matthew Evans. Comments in support of the project, comment in opposition of the project. And I'm not going to mention the names, just for the public record, we're mentioning it, and I think it'll be available if someone wanted to see it. At this time, was there any ex parte communication? Any drive-by site visits?
I drive by the site.
Or ad hoc committee? Okay,
We've had ad hoc meeting on this one.
okay,
We had an ad hoc, and I also drive by the site daily.
okay. Yes, I drove by the site intensively and know it very well. Thank you, Mr. Matthew Evans.
Yes, thank you for that introduction, Chair Hammond. Appreciate that. Planning Commissioners. This is the Prologis DC-11 Ramona at Webster Warehouse Project. So, project location. This is a 29.79 acre site. It's located south of Ramona Expressway, east of the Paris Gateway Project, east of Webster Avenue and the I-215 freeway, west of Brennan Avenue and north of Morgan Street. General plan and land use designation and zoning. General plan designation here is specific plan. The zoning here is Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan, light industrial. And just for a record, industrial uses are permitted subject to approval of a development plan review in that light industrial zone. So here you have some site photos. This is east from Webster Avenue. As you can see, the project site is relatively flat. mostly fallow. You have a south view from Ramona Expressway, southwest view from Brennan Avenue. You can see an adjacent industrial building to the site. View west from Brennan Avenue. And a new construction site. This is just to the north of the project site on Brennan Avenue, just to give you an idea that it is adjacent to some existing development. So overall site plan, you have a 551,922 square foot industrial building. The overall site includes 178,922 square feet of landscaping. That's equivalent to about 14.12% of that 12% required. You have vehicular access off of Webster Avenue and Ramona Expressway. That Ramona Expressway vehicular access is right-in, right-out only. It's a controlled access point. And then you have truck access exclusively off of Brennan Avenue. You have employee parking also off of Webster and Ramona that is completely separated from that truck access. And then you have 2 indoor-outdoor amenities associated with the project as well. Those are circled in blue, as you can see up on the screen here. Truck route, as identified in the TIA for the project, we have 2 truck routes available from the site, to and from the site. You have Placentia Avenue via Indian Avenue to Morgan Avenue and Brennan Avenue, or Harley Knox to Indian Avenue, down to Morgan, and then up Brennan to the I-215 freeway. So landscape plan, again, you have that 14.12 landscape coverage. Here are your landscape plan plant materials. Here you have a tree list. As you can see, there's quite a few trees proposed on for the project site. These are mostly 36-inch boxes noted on the landscape plan. Various ground covers and shrubs. Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan, light industrial zoning standards are here, as you can see. And these are your parking standards for the project as well. As you can see, it exceeds the minimum parking requirements. Here you have a daytime rendering of the building. This would be at the corner of Ramona Expressway and Webster. Second daytime rendering. And then your nighttime renderings. Same vantage point. Here are your building elevations. As you can see, this is modern industrial architecture, painted concrete tilt-up building panels with low reflective materials, stone accent and form liner accent panels. So you have those 3 variations on the building materials. Here you have your west view from Webster Avenue, south interior, east from Brennan, and north from Ramona Expressway. Here is your building material board. There's also a physical board that we have up on the stand. So it's showing these colors and materials for the building. So environmental process, an environmental impact report, EIR, was prepared for this project. The EIR was prepared in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act guidelines. The EIR concludes that all impacts have been reduced to less than significant or have been reduced below significant level with the implementation of mitigation measures for the project. A total of 3 comment letters were received by staff during the public review period. Letters received were from Riverside County Airport Land Use Commission, Adams, Broadwell, Joseph, and Cordozo, and South County Air Quality Management District. None of the comments raised any additional environmental issues that have not been addressed in the EIR. The letters and responses to those questions were addressed in the final EIR. Staff recommendation, staff recommends the adoption of Resolution 24-20, certifying the final EIR and adopting the mitigation monitoring and reporting program, as well as approving tentative parcel map 22-05 363. That's tentative parcel map 38643, as well as development plan review DPR 22-00035, subject to conditions of approval. And that concludes my report. If there's any questions from staff, I'd be happy to answer them, but the applicant is also here if you have any questions of the applicant as well.
Thank you, sir. Very good. And at this time, does the applicant have a presentation of any kind? And as always, would you state your full name and spell your last name for us?
Can you hear me okay? Okay. Nicole Torstvet, Torstvet. Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. My name's Nicole Torstvet. I'm a representative for Prologis, formerly Duke Realty, the applicant and property owner for the proposed project. I'd like to begin by thanking our planner, Matt Evans, and city staff for their collaboration on bringing this project before you this evening. Duke Realty has been a longstanding business and community partner in Paris, and we're excited to present another high-quality project for your consideration. Following staff's presentation, I want to highlight our engagement with the ad hoc committee. Our first meeting was in January of '24. They raised key concerns, including more dynamic landscaping, architectural enhancements to align with the city's vision, additional articulation on elevations, improved screening for nearby neighbors, a monument sign, and measures to prevent trucks from turning north onto Ramona Expressway. To address those concerns, we held a second ad hoc meeting in September to present our updates. We redesigned the landscaping to create a Disneyland effect, featuring a diverse plant palette, various sizing, and extensive uplighting. The building architecture underwent a complete overhaul, incorporating new colors, materials, and articulation, along with enhanced screening along Brennan. A monument sign has been added to the corner of Ramona and Webster, serving as an inviting entrance to the city and our site. Additionally, we implemented channelizers along Brennan and a 90-degree curb to prevent trucks from turning north, as well as additional signage to reinforce idling limits and truck routes. I again want to thank the ad hoc committee for the in-depth input in helping us create a better project for the community. As previously mentioned, we're part of this community and continually give back through sports sponsorships, including AYSO, Paris Panthers Youth Football and Cheer, donating trees for Arbor Day, the Christmas toy drive, or volunteering in the community. As a community benefit for this specific project, we are donating $400,000 to Valverde School District to help them construct an outdoor amphitheater for the students as well as the surrounding community. Additionally, I want to highlight our proactive outreach we conducted with our adjacent neighbors. We met them on 2 separate occasions to discuss the project and address any concerns they may have. While they had a few questions about the project, they did not express opposition. All of the neighbors are currently operating industrial uses on the back half of their parcels. And in addition to our community efforts, we partner with local unions, including LIUNA, carpenters, ironworkers, plumbers, and pipe fitters, to build within the community we are a part of. Our goal is to be a positive contributor to this community and a good neighbor, and we believe that this project achieves functionality for a future user, reduces environmental impacts, enhances aesthetics, and adds value to our community. In addition to myself, our CEQA consultant, architect, and civil engineer are available for any questions you may have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. At this time, do we have any questions for staff and or the applicant?
Yes, I do have a couple clarifying questions. In regards to the augmented landscaping along Webster, the ground is still going to be leveled. Is that correct, or is there going to be a berm included with the landscaping?
There's a slight berm that kind of goes up so that it doesn't look flat.
Got you. And then you guys have specific plants layered
Yes,
to give that effect.
correct.
Okay, thank you. And do you know if there's a parkway along Webster? I think you guys include one for the sidewalk on
Yes.
on Ramona. Is there one along Webster as well?
I want to say the answer is yes. Yes.
Awesome, thank you. Matt, you think you could explain the truck route for me? Can you go over the truck route on how exactly they're going to use Brennan Avenue?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to do that. I know I kind of went over it pretty quickly, but we'll get to it here in just a second. Here we are. So from this aerial, you can see the project site is outlined in red. It does have frontage onto both Webster and Ramona Expressway. However, the trucks to and from this site are restricted exclusively to Brennan Avenue. From Brennan, they will travel south to Morgan, and then from Morgan eastward to Indian. From there, they can either travel north up to Harley Knox Boulevard or south to Placentia, and both of those are designated truck routes within the city of Paris. So those are the only two access points for trucks from the I-215 freeway. Obviously, Ramona Expressway is not included in that truck route plan, so no trucks will be accessing the site from Ramona or turning out from Brennan onto Ramona. So, and I think the applicant mentioned that they have incorporated those design elements, the channelizers, things like that for the driveways, making it near impossible for those trucks to make that left-hand turn out of the site, so.
Perfect. So you said that they're restricted, so they could only do left in, right out at the driveways on Brennan.
Correct.
Awesome. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
Absolutely.
I did have a question about the contribution for the outdoor amphitheater, just because I recently became aware of a document that says that districts can use money given by development fees for whatever they wanted. So was there anything that was agreed to that that is what that money's for? I started doing more research about how the districts spend their money, and apparently it's a free-for-all once they receive it.
So I do not have a written agreement
Okay.
with the school district. That is what we discussed in our previous meetings.
Okay. All right, and I won't ask the name and put them on blast right now, but I recently became familiar with that document that states how money can be used within the school district, that is developmental fees, because a lot of the ones that come, it's for greenery, it's for their gardens, and apparently it's not being used for that. It's being used for, or air filtration systems, so things that we say are mitigation, things don't always get, that money doesn't always get used for those purposes. And then, would you remind me, I know that maybe I didn't hear all of it, but I remember you said there's a channelizer, so I make a right in. And I thought I heard you also say that there's a channelizer, so they have to go down and come back, and it's only left in, right out.
Correct. Yes, so there's channelizers along Brennan at both driveways so that they can only make a left in and a right out.
Okay, so
And
I
there's a 90-degree curb return as
can.
well that will prevent them from being able to make those turns.
Okay, so the first time, maybe they want to come in from Ramona, make the right, and they would learn real quick.
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I don't have too many questions for this. They kind of resolved a lot of my concerns and questions through the ad hoc meetings that we did have. So they increased the landscaping, they changed some of the colors of the building and some of the windows and stuff like that. So not too many concerns with this one.
Commissioner Jimenez, I wanted to clarify, our 400,000 that we're donating, it's not part of our development impact fees. It's separate. Okay.
Okay. Not much, I guess, for the developer, and this is a standard question. Is this a spec building, or do you have one? We're always going to ask it, so you might as well start off with that one.
Yes, it's a speculative building.
Okay, it makes a big difference. Okay. And like my fellow commissioner, I don't have a whole lot of questions. I think the ad hoc committee really ironed out a lot of things, and they represent us, so it's pretty easy. We know each other pretty well, so no, I do appreciate that. And I want to avoid the engineer because I'm just like to beat up on the engineer. Obviously, the channel that they go into that line that's in one place, I think it was either the building next to it was concrete paved and was open. But is this going to be open channel or is it going to be covered?
No, we have a condition with engineering condition number 7
Yeah.
that states shall be underground the existing open channel along the northern portion of this project. So that Ramona Expressway channel would be underground.
Okay, but just covered by cement or just under?
No, it would be
Under
a
street.
storm drain pipe underneath Parkway to
Okay.
Ultimate.
Okay, to tie into all the other properties, and then it goes north,
Exactly.
maybe around
right.
Paris Boulevard or something.
All part of that line E that is that full extent of Ramona Expressway there.
Okay, and it feeds into that Paris drainage detention thing that's farther east
Yes.
off of Redlands, isn't it? That area anyway.
East of Redlands, that's
Yeah.
the ultimate goal. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it makes a big difference. Yeah. The second Lake Paris over there, we call it. Okay, I think that's it for me. I think we got a view of the materials, and there's not much more that I could say. I like the concrete paved access driveways. Makes a big difference, and the wear and tear on streets tends to be an issue, obviously. So I think if we start moving to concrete, that might make a big difference anywhere. But anyway, I'm done, unless you guys have something else. We getting yeah, oh yeah. For us, yeah. Oh no, I'm used to that. I'm very okay. At this time, I don't know if we have any Sylvia, any blue sheets, but at this time we open up for public comment on this agenda item and this agenda item only. Yeah, you can read them, and you're not limited to turn this in. It just helps if you can, but. Afterwards, we're perfectly willing to take anyone to come to the dais and speak for 3 minutes, okay?
No. Okay.
Hello.
Joshua Costello?
Yeah, hello. And good evening, Honorable Planning Commission Chair Hammond and fellow commissioners. My name is Joshua Costello, and I am here to speak in favor of the Prologis DC-11 project. I am a recovering addict. I was using meth and fentanyl for many years. For many years, I was homeless and a detriment to my society. But a little bit over 3 years ago, I gave my life over to Jesus Christ, and I'm no longer an addict. I could proudly say that. He's restored me. He's recovered me. I'm a new creation through him. And now I'm a part of a men's Christian recovery home, and I help other men, not only drug addicts, but men who were in gangs, men who came out of prison, men who are trying to make a change in their life, right? And we're doing that spiritually, but now a lot of us, we were dealt the wrong deck of cards, right? And we tried to do our best with what we had. And a lot of us made a lot of mistakes. And now that we have the right way to become a part of society again, we need jobs. And this project right here is going to provide those jobs that a lot of us need, not only to keep us on the straight and narrow, not to go back to drugs, but to also become a functioning member of society again, something to give us pride, something that we won't have to ask for handouts, something where we could keep our head held high and provide for our families again and to help rebuild those relationships that a lot of us ruined because of the choices that we made. And we are not a product of our choices, right? If we let our mind continue to do that, we would not be able to recover. So jobs that would be provided through projects like these are very important for men like myself who are trying to make a change in their lives. So for that, I urge you please to vote yes on this project. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, and congratulations to you.
Wayne McDonald. Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Planning Commission. My name is Wanye McDonald, and today I'm here to speak in favor of the project here before you. Anytime we're looking at over 500,000 square feet of warehouse space, we're essentially looking at a lot of much-needed jobs to help members of this community provide for their families, and by doing that, by making an honest living. So I help to lead a Christian disciple recovery home. And day in and day out, I see men come in that start from the ground, and I see what the Lord is doing through their life. So our ministry helps to take men and women that are on the streets and bring them to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and begin to help them during their building process, rebuilding their lives, restoring their lives. Right, and so one of the key factors in our program being a success is being able to provide our residents with jobs where they can come in and provide for their families again, be the father and the mother that the Lord is calling them to be. And so for these reasons, I ask that you pass this project. Thank you and God bless.
Okay, thank you very much.
Zach Stratters.
All right. Good evening. Hard to follow those two guys, but I'll give it my best. So, Zach Strosters, Care, California. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. I'll keep it brief. So we're in support of this project, and there are three reasons in particular. First of all, because Prologis has done their due diligence to make sure and engage the community. So you see them engaging organizations like the ones that are speaking before. You see everybody in orange. I'm pretty sure that they're in support tonight. Everybody in orange, if you're in support of the project tonight, can you just stand for me real quick if you came from a local or a union? So I'm pretty sure that that means that they did their due diligence engaging everybody, right? That's number one. That's most important, because CARE wants to make sure that the community is properly heard, that the community is properly engaged, and that the community has something that they can take home. The second reason is, as you guys were mentioning, as you were talking, infrastructure development is huge. A lot of people miss that about industrial development. There's a lot of political talk back and forth. But if it weren't for private investment, there would be a lot of infrastructure that would not exist. Not in Riverside County, not anywhere. The third and final piece is that we're nearing the arc, the sunset era of the arc of private development. I think that's the general temperature for most people in California these days. And that being the case, we want to take advantage of opportunities to develop undeveloped land. Industrial style tilt-ups, this is a style of architecture. There's a lot of fanfare about that, but regardless, at the point, if it should ever come, that the investment is a little bit harder to come by because we've seen economy go up and we've seen economy go down, then we want to make sure that we honor in good faith that what these guys are doing for the community, engaging all sectors of the community, making sure that they're doing their due diligence. By the way, shout out Valverde. That's Valverde USD and their police department. They just had an amazing Christmas thing that they just did. So, great organizations. Again, good on Prologis for taking the time to reach out on this project. So for all these reasons, we ask that you support the project. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Jason Baez.
Honorable Commission, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Jason Baez, and I'm a proud member of Labor's International Union of North America, and I fully support this project. I have to say, I'm very pleased that this is the perfect place for this project at the perfect time with the perfect truck routes. It is definitely one of those strikes of luck that are sometimes waiting for us in the future, which all of us will benefit from. The city will receive upgrades, yearly revenue, Valentino's, Harry's Cafe, L3, the subway right there, Glaze, Chevron will all see an increase in sales. The kids at the high school will enjoy the benefits of the project. Local tradesmen will be able to work close to home. And of course, stellar union trades careers will be available for local youth. And of course, when we're done, many jobs will remain. Accounting jobs, sales, management, maintenance, and of course, lighter jobs of logistics that some people seek specifically because of either health issues, physical issues, or the need for flexible hours. And of course, that old lot will be beautified with beautiful trees and flowers and brush. And I'm going to close it with this, you guys. I guess it was just God's planning to make me go right after those three gentlemen that just spoke, because believe it or not, many years ago, unfortunately, that's exactly where I was in my life. And one of those Christian programs are what brought me to where I'm at today, working with the unions, working with good developers who do things on the up and ups and everything legit that work with us. So I have to say that this project is just right, and I hope you push it through to receive the blessings God has for the city of Paris tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Jonathan Daly.
Good evening. This is getting harder to follow. My name is Jonathan Daly. That's D-A-I-L-E-Y. I'm also a proud member of LIUNA Labor's Union. I'm a veteran of the Marine Corps, so I have a little bit of a different background, but thank you. But it was still, to me, it was still seen as a second chance finding my place here. I didn't know what I was going to do getting out of the military. There's not many courses you can take, at least from my exit. I didn't know about this world until I was graceful enough to fall into it. I'm also a husband and father, so that's another huge reason I'm here. It's on behalf of them and all of our members' families. And without developers like this promising and committing to a skilled and trained union workforce, we don't get to provide the health care to our families, food on our tables, and a livable wage. And local hire is huge. A lot of times we have to work out of town. I was working out of town when my wife and son went to the Thomas the Train Railway Museum event, and yeah, I got to see all the pictures and videos. It looked like a blast. I'll be going back, hopefully. But it's small things like that, which is why local hire is incredible. I won't have to miss, opportunities like that to have a lot of firsts with my son and my wife. So again, on behalf of LIUNA, in support of this developer, this project, we couldn't be more grateful to be a part of it. So with all that, I hope you support this project as well. Happy holidays and have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Robert Lujan.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Robert Lugan, AKA Mad Dog. I've been with the Ironworkers for 42 years, and I am here also to represent with my brothers and sisters for the laborers and the carpenters trades. I'm with the Ironworkers, and I'm also a district delegate for the Inland Empire. I've been with them for 3 years. We are here today to support the project and to ask for the commissioners' support with a yes vote tonight. This project will bring so much to the city of Paris. The developer has made a commitment to local hire. This is a guarantee that our children and families will be taken care of, have medical benefits, and prosperous life ahead of them. Please support our community and our families and the Paris community with your yes vote today. I also came from the hard hats to helmets to hard hats through the Marine Corps to the Ironworkers. So it's not just the homeless or the addicts that you be involving with, but also the military personnel that can also join these union trades and earn a livable salary for their families and for the community. Please support our community and our families and the Paris community with the yes vote tonight. Hope you all have a blessed Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Louis Lopez.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners, staff, community. My name is Louis Lopez. I'm a business agent for the Ironworkers Local 433, and I represent over 5,600 members. I'm also a Marine Corps veteran. So out of those 5,600 members, we have a strong presence here in the Inland Empire, specifically around these local communities. I know Council Member Corona actually was a math teacher for 3 of my members. One of them also coming from helmets to hard hats after serving his country proudly into the Marine Corps. I have 2 fathers, a father and son, and many other members that are here locally and in this city. So when it comes to jobs, every job does count. And I can share with you from a veteran's perspective, because I know we had 2 other Marine Corps up here, brothers up here. I can share with you after my second tour, I had just as much anxiety coming home that I had going into Kuwait and going into Somalia, not knowing where I was going to gain traction. And I can tell you today that it's vital to some of those veterans that are coming back. I mean, the emotional stress and just the mental health. Sometimes if you're not gaining traction coming back, it's like you kind of feel like you're left behind. And that starts to grow. So it's organizations like Helmets to Hard Hats that reaches out to the trades, and we have a direct entry, and we have a local hire implemented in these agreements. So that means that these projects, whoever lives within those local communities, have preference on those jobs. I'd also like to extend a public thank you to Prologis, seeing the value of unity and including all the trades and solidarity to execute this project. It actually can save lives, to be honest with you. And to see all our brothers and sisters here tonight on one accord, that's the way it should be. So publicly, I want to say thank you to Prologis. I urge the commission to fully support this project and send it forward to City Council. On behalf of the Ironworkers, Local 433, thank you, and may God continue to bless the city of Paris.
Thank you very much, sir.
Salvador Amezquita. Thank you. Daniel Gonzalez.
Good evening. I'm a proud member of Local 951 Carpenters, and I'm in favor of this project because for the last 6 months, I have been working in Long Beach. I've commuted 90% of this year, Long Beach, Thermo, Paso Robles, and this would bring local jobs. And to be honest, that job would just be 5 minutes away from my house. Time I can spend valuable with my family, with my friends, have time for extracurricular activities. So please approve this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Again, at this time, I'd like to approach, make it quick, but you don't have to do the blue seat, but if you'd like to turn it in, basically for spelling. Okay. Yeah. Matthew, you want to take? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
Hello, good evening, Planning Commission. It's been a while. I'm very long-winded. We all know this, so I'm going to jump right into it. I know that this project falls within the light industrial zone, and you don't have too much recourse or crazy ability to deny it. But as a member of this community and an employee that regularly works at that adjacent school, I'd like to make some recommendations that might help make this project slightly more palatable for those who will have to face it each and every day. Please consider asking the developer to include better community benefits. It's well known that we are not interested in more warehouses. And so if Prologis can take action to remedy this growing issue between themselves and us residents by offering better benefits, it'll help us to deal with this. So to the developer, I ask you to please consider the following as community benefits, and to the commission, I ask you to please consider adding these as conditions of approval. 1, please do not allow building to commence on this project until at least one tenant of it is secured. Paris is overwhelmed with vacant and near vacant warehouses, and this action would really help to ease that. 2, consider increasing the landscape percentage from 14%, and further, as a condition of approval, I'd like to ask that you amend the plans to also include a higher percentage of native vegetation. A common issue that is brought to you guys on the commission is the lack of care that the existing development's landscaping has. If we push to incorporate more native flora, this will really mitigate that issue, because these are plants that are meant to be here. These are plants that we're actually ripping out of the ground to then replace with non-natives that then look ugly in 6 months. So really, I would love to push for more native vegetation, and I can send you an email with some resources and some really cool ones. I am a roving employee of the Val Verde School District, and I have spent a lot of time at the school site adjacent to this project. These students already face poor air quality conditions due to their proximity to the many other warehouses, the freeway, the industrial buildings. I'd like the developer to consider adopting a community benefit, which would provide the school with air filtration means to deal with the increasing hardship that the students and teachers face. Additionally, I'd ask that you require the installation of an air quality monitor nearby the site in order to accurately assess the impact that this industrial corridor has on the nearby schools and homes. Also, please consider decreasing the size of the warehouse. A 500,000 square foot mega warehouse has no business being in such close proximity to a school, and it would be incredibly beneficial if we could really reduce that. These could be added as conditions of approval, and the developer may loop them in and name them as community benefits to make it more enticing. Actions such as these will go a long way in showing goodwill between the developers and the residents. I know your hands are tied, but I know that we can also work together to at least make this something that could genuinely.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Mhm.
Carla Cervantes.
Hi, good evening. So it's a new day in Paris. We got a lot of things to get done now. My kids go to the Val Verde School District, so I know that at that location, the high school and I think the district area, they host a lot of their community events for the entire district there. They just had a really beautiful Christmas event there. They host their Halloween stuff there all the time. Like they always use that area for the entire Valverde School District. So having this in such close proximity isn't great, but because it is zone light industrial, I am asking that you guys ask the developer for more mitigation to create real community benefit, to try to create a barrier in between that is going to help mitigate the issue of that area that is already overloaded with warehouses as it is. The California Air Resource Board does suggest 1,000 square feet or more close to sensitive receptors, which that area is. So I'm asking that you guys ask the developer for more. Like I said, it's a new day in Paris, and just having so many warehouses in the past, this area and the cumulative effect of this warehouse is just, it's too much. So I'm asking that you guys ask the developer for more community benefits. That way we're setting a better standard for our area, and also setting a better standard for the area that is right next to that, which is Mead Valley. And that area is going to continue to become influenced by the city of Paris. And so it's just gonna create more and more warehouses that be guest warehouses that's gonna harm our neighboring areas, harm this city. But like I said, I know that this is light industrial, so I'm asking that you guys ask for more, ask for real community benefits, ask for like a good barrier in between, and of course, just as was mentioned before, plants that are native to here, and plants that can possibly just improve the air quality even more than regular plants already do. Yeah, I hope that you guys ask for the developer for better, because our area deserves better. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yesenia Contreras.
Good evening. I'd like to begin by saying that I understand that cumulative impacts do not need to be taken into account for this particular project, and therefore developers can say that the impacts are less than significant. But in spite of this, we live in the county with the second worst ozone pollution in the nation, and we know that the impacts are present here, which is a direct consequence of the over-industrialization of the Inland Empire as a whole, and we see it in Paris, obviously. I also understand that this project is within the industrial zone, so I ask that at the very least you ask for more mitigation and more community benefits. I would also like to request generally, if possible, that you ask developers to require not only a tenant, but also union workers inside the actual warehouses themselves, not just building them, as a condition of approval. Not sure if this is a city council issue, but I don't think there's any harm in asking for more because we deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that it, sir? Oh. Okay, thank you very much. And if there's gentleman's walking forward, I didn't know if you want to. Okay. Just state your name for us. That's all.
Name's Doug Henderson. I'm the director of STEAM and Career Pathways for Valverde Unified District. And I had the pleasure of meeting Nicole and some other people from Prologis, I don't forget how many months ago that was, to talk about this project. Valverde is in support of this, and I want to talk a little bit about the project. She kind of briefly touched about it, but what we're trying to partner with Prologis to build is an actual 100-person or so amphitheater, but an entire green space at the district office. So I know Liz and some other Valverde employees have come to trainings, but when you come to a professional development at the district, you go sit on concrete to eat your lunch, that kind of stuff. So we're trying to create like a garden-type atmosphere in this small little amphitheater, so that when we do host events at the district office, that we have a space that's more relaxing, that is a green space for people to hang out, picnic tables, that kind of stuff. In the space that the current M&O is at, if you've driven by recently, you see with lots of construction. The new M&O is going to be moving, and we're going to have a big, empty, vacant lot on the property. And we want to turn that into a space that is better for what we're trying to do at the district office. So just want to let you know, she did mention it, but I'll let you get more details on that. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And with that, we close the public comment portion. Oh, you got to come on up. Come on. Just state your name for us, even though we...
Hello, my name's Jairo Carbajal. I know this project is landing in the industrial zone, and I know industrial can only be industrial, but my math is not correct on this, but this year alone, the city of Paris has gone in about over 15 million square feet of warehouses proposed. Either they're going to come next year with their EIRs or the final for council. But out of all those square feet, none of these buildings have any tenants, and it's just the same story with every warehouse at this point. And I know it's like, well, we can't build for a tenant, we have to wait, but I just wish we could get a tenant with these new warehouses coming through, whether they're, not rezone, no rezones, please. But if they're in light industrial, having tenants would definitely be a little bit more helpful for the community to at least see what is going to come into the community, whether the community wants that or they don't. But that's all I have to say, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else? Okay, thank you. Now we close the public comment and bring it to the commission for discussion. Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's been a while, hasn't it? Obviously, that's why we have these cohorts here to remind me. I'm old, right? If the developer has a response or would like to respond, please come forward at this time, if you would like to respond. Quite a few brought forward.
Yeah, we're going to bring our air quality consultant up just to address those concerns.
As always, just state your full name and spell your last name for us.
Good evening, Commissioners. Michael Tyrone with Urban Crossroads. Sorry.
Okay.
Last name Tirohn. We prepared the air quality analysis and the health risk assessment for the project. And I'd just like to reiterate that the findings of the analysis demonstrate that the project would not exceed any of the significance thresholds with regard to regional pollutants, localized pollutants, or for the health risk for the school. And if there's any further questions, I'm available for questions.
Okay, thank you very much.
And then I just wanted to let you know, if you would like to change the landscaping, we are currently in compliance with city standards and the city's plant palette. But if you would like to change some of the plant material, we're willing to work with planning to do so.
Okay, thank you very much. So
Thank you.
noted. Okay. Okay? That's it? Okay. And we bring it back to the commission for discussion, analysis.
I just want to start off by saying thank you to the ad hoc committee. I feel like you guys covered a lot of the issues that I would have looked for. Making this a more pedestrian-friendly project with the sidewalk landscape. What is it called? Parkway. And with the augmented landscaping, it's going to give a nice appearance, especially on the Ramona Expressway. I do like the color palette that was chosen. I do understand that it's in the light industrial zone, so it's not going to require a rezone. And I do appreciate the applicant's contributions to Val Verde Unified. An amphitheater is going to be something that these kids are definitely going to appreciate, and it's much needed for some of the programs that they have. Besides that, I have no other issues.
This project is located in a light industrial zone, so although there might be some other issues with it, I don't see any issue in the forbearance that where it's located. So this one has no issues because most of my concerns were addressed during the ad hoc meetings. So during both of them, so I don't have any issues with this one. And I do like the fact that they are willing to change the landscaping if so desired. So if they're open to that, I'm okay with doing that as well. So that's it.
I do want to appreciate the community for coming out, those that were supporting and the ones who understand our limitations. And I appreciate you recognizing that. I will echo what my vice chair has said. As we went through the ad hoc meetings, everything that we requested, they have been very compliant. So I think one of the things that we really tried to do was move the big rig traffic to behind, so it's further away from the school district and the walkways as possible, for safety as well, because some students do walk there. I would like them to request, working with staff to add more native plants, but I really like the way it looks. So the layering, I know that was one of the things that we took back, because originally it was just very flat. It was beautiful, but very flat. We didn't have that, the highlights. The entrance looked a little bit different. So if you saw the progression, they did add a lot. And we have always requested more landscaping, more. We do ask for more, you guys know. We're very demanding. And everything that we requested, but we also understood the limitations because of the shape and adding more landscaping. But I do want to also commend the applicants for going above and beyond and not just offering that development fees, but actually going above and beyond, reaching out to someone at the district, them coming out and showing that support. You know, I always ask, who did you talk to at the district office? Who was it that you talked to? So today, to have them here and know that there really was a partnership, it means a lot. And I know that we really can't request that they have union workers, but I've brought it before. I worked for the Best Buy warehouse for a couple of years, and that was nice because it was for a corporation. My dad, as an older citizen, worked for one here in the city that didn't have a union, and it makes a difference. When it's a staffing agency, you miss 3 days, you're out 3 days, you're gone. So as much as possible, I also like to encourage when you bring someone in that they're hiring they're taking care of their own people, not just a staffing agency, and then there's no loyalty. And yeah, our limitations, it is light industrial, so we do have our hands tied, but I will say that the applicant really has gone above and beyond from what they brought to us the first time to what they brought to us the second time to now what they're bringing now. There have been major improvements, and it looks beautiful. It's zoned for that, so all we really can do is to make it as aesthetic as possible, encourage to add more landscaping, different type of landscaping, color schemes. So I think it is a beautiful entryway into the city when you're driving by it. It's not a super industrial looking building. It doesn't look massive because of the way it's shaped, where it's longer towards the back. So I appreciate the applicant, I appreciate staff and everybody that came out.
Yeah, and I won't prolong the agony here. No, what's been said, there's no way to get on top of that. I appreciate everyone that spoke today. Some maybe not in favor, some in favor. That's always the way it's going to be. And as you sit here for as many years as I have, you just learn to listen. See, the key is listening. 22 and a half years, shut up and listen. And that's the key for any council. That's the key for any member. You have to listen. And one of the things you listen to what's good, there's some good points, there's some bad points. That's what's the key. I'm just teaching you now. I haven't been here this long. Some say too long, but I've been here a long time. I appreciate the fact that also, too, the ad hoc committee did a wonderful job, and that's why we're not saying a whole lot tonight. Look at the design, look at the architecture, it speaks for itself. If you went back 15, 20 years ago, there's no way you'd have something look like that. But nowadays we're putting the pressure on, and you start seeing other ones starting to add what we do. But we're saying, look, we're going to put a product in a light industrial area, and it is zoned light industrial. Let me answer the question about that. I think you got to be educated. You're in a flight zone, and that limits what you can do. So when you say there's a lot of buildings, you're in a flight zone, period. So when you're in a flight zone for March Air Force, it really limits what we can do north, especially north of Ramon Expressway. And I think we're going to have to start emphasizing that staff. They need to emphasize that more. That because of that, a lot of limitations. You can't have tall buildings, warehouses, or you can have storage facilities, and you can't have a whole city just storage. Okay? You can even have car dealerships. Good luck with that. But those are the things because they have a limited number of people. Just want to explain that's one of the reasons why things are light industrial. And I was here when the general plan, I'm the only person in this building that was here at the general plan in 2005, and it was a nightmare. Okay? But it was one of those things where you look at that and you say, what makes sense in an airport zone? Get rid of that March Air Force Base, which is not going to happen in our lifetime. Okay? But one of those things you have to understand is that's because of that airport thing. Other than that, as far as the other stuff, I'm not going to go into about what the developer can do. As far as requiring tenants, we can't require that. But all we can do is our aesthetics. We can make sure the design fits the community, make sure the truck route is something that the city has approved, and those are the things that we can really look at. But when it's zoned for that, it's very difficult. So what we do is take a step back and say landscaping, architectural design, does it make sense in that location? The height of the building, 49 feet. Those are things we look at. Employee amenities. Also, we had a discussion about air conditioning and things like that. There's supposed to be wording that may have to come in the future. We can't require, but whatever the state regulations are, that's what we would abide by, the state rules and regulations concerning that. So that's an issue if it's 120 degrees in there where you might want to have some kind of air conditioning or something in there. But that's on whoever the tenant is. It would be nice to have a tenant, we don't. But we can't, from this day say that you got to do that. That's not something we can do. But having said that, I think other than that, I have no issues with this one. I appreciate everybody speaking, and we will move on unless you have something else to add. Okay. It's pretty much been done, and we don't want to beat a dead horse. And with that, we move to, let me read it for the record. Tentative parcel map and development plan review, a proposal to consolidate 13 parcels into one 29.79 acre parcel to construct a 551,922 square foot industrial warehouse building located east of Webster Avenue, south of Ramona Expressway, west of Brennan Avenue, north of Morgan Street in the light industrial zone of the Paris Valley Commerce Center. Requested action is adopt resolution 24-20 to certify the final environmental impact report, adopt the mitigation and monitoring and reporting program, and approve tentative parcel map 22-05363, TPM 38643, and DPR 22-00035 to facilitate the construction of a 551,922 square foot industrial warehouse building on 29.79 acres based on the findings and subject to conditions of approval. I think maybe with the consultation with the commission to look at, and we do agree to look at, if necessary, the inclusion of native plant species is something that the developer, and I don't think we have any objections. I think you presented a lot, but that's something that can be looked at with staff. It doesn't need to be us. And native plant species, a lot of them that could withstand 110 degrees in summer, 115 sometimes. So that's one of the reasons we say. So that, with that, if there's no objection to that, I think we would have a motion for approval of this project.
Thank you for the mention of the inclusion for the native landscaping. I would like to go ahead and make a motion for approval.
Oh, okay. Moved by, since we don't have it on here, by Vice Chair Shively
I'll second the motion.
and seconded by Commissioner Lopez.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Shively,
Yes.
Chair Hammond.
Yes.
With a vote of 4 yes, 0 no, this motion is approved.
Thank you. And thank you, Sylvia, for reading all this. Good luck with the project. Okay. We're doing pretty good. Break or go on? Go on? Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, I don't. Wait, well, yeah, okay. Now I'm going to move it real quick. With that, we move on to item 6. Oh, we're waiting for our director. Okay. We move on to item 6C. This should be an interesting one. General Plan Amendment 24-05206. Specific Plan Amendments 24-05207. Zoning and Subdivision Amendments 24-05184. General Plan Amendment 24-05206. Specific Plan Amendments 24-05207. Zoning and Subdivision Amendments 24-05184. A proposal to amend the general plan, Green Valley Specific Plan, Downtown Specific Plan, zoning and subdivision codes to establish a housing opportunity areas overlay zone subject to affordability requirements, and to amend existing land use regulations to remove unduly constraints to streamline housing development projects in accordance with applicable state housing laws. The applicant's the City of Paris, so why are we listening to it? No, I'm kidding. Requested action, adopt resolutions numbers, 24-23, 24-24, 24-25, 24-26, 24-27, and 24-28. Recommending that the City Council adopt a mitigated negative declaration number 2399 and the Mitigation Monitoring and Reporting Program, and approve General Plan Amendment 24-05206, Specific Plan Amendment SBA 24-05207, Zoning and Subdivision Amendments 24-05184 to provide opportunities for and remove unduly constraints on housing development. And please don't ask me to read that again. With that, we turn it over to the City Paris, our wonderful planning director.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Thank you for that introduction and
Hold on.
making my
What-
job easier.
My mistake. I want to add for the record, submitted to us by, I have to do it for the record, by Patricia Brenz, Planning Manager, September 18th. Item 6C, email from Riverside County Flood Control and memo regarding implementation of the Housing Opportunities Site. And so we're going to make sure it's on the record and signed by Lisa McKinney, Engineering Tech from the Riverside County Flood Control, and that we have it on the record. Okay. Also a memorandum, City of Paris Housing Element proposed housing overlay and Area 11. That was also submitted. Just a second. Yeah, that was also submitted as well. So we want to make sure that's on the record, and obviously the details can be given to anyone who would like to see it.
Thank you,
Sorry
Mr.
about that.
Chairman, for reading that into the record as well. I'm going to provide a little bit of background on the City 6 cycle housing element. It was adopted on January 25th, 2022, and it was certified by HCD on August 17th, 2022. An obligation for approval of the housing element by HCD was for the city to follow up and complete the following tasks. The first one is to provide an overlay zone for the housing opportunity areas that were included in the housing element. The second task was to amend the existing land use regulation to simplify or to streamline the process to allow for housing development and for consistency with the state law. And the third task was to provide or prepare objective design standards for residential development, which we have completed already. I don't know if you remember, we brought the residential design guidelines back in September of 2023. So our obligation now is to complete the first two tasks. So as part of the housing element effort, just to refresh your memory, there was a huge effort that included collaboration between the consultant and organizations, agencies, and Paris residents. In fact, there were 2 planning commission meetings that were held for the housing element and 3 city council meetings to consider the project and to adopt the housing element. Efforts that were established was to streamline the process for housing development and identify the housing opportunity areas that would accommodate the required housing need that was required by the state. And in our case, it was 7,805 units. So the project before you today is to complete the two outstanding tasks in order to fulfill the city's obligation for approval of the housing element, which are to establish and apply the overlay zone for the housing opportunity areas, and to amend existing codes and specific plans to streamline the process for housing development. In order to implement this project, as you mentioned, Chair Hammond, the following entitlements would be required: amendments to the general plan, Green Valley specific plan, downtown specific plan, zoning code, and the subdivision code. The proposed overlay zone is proposed to be applied to housing opportunity areas 1 through 12, previously identified on the certified housing element to allow for development of up to 30 units per acre. So the proposal before you today is not to look for opportunity areas. The proposal before you today is to implement what was required under the housing element, which is to apply the overlay zone over the previously approved housing opportunity areas. The property owners would have the opportunity to develop up to the density permitted by the underlying zone, or activate the overlay zone without having to process a zone change. If there's a shortfall in the number of anticipated units, the applicant would be required to collaborate with the city to allocate the lost units to an alternate site. And this shows you the kind of like the general area where the opportunity areas are located, which is centrally located, and also the area by Ethanak Road. With regards to the amendments to the existing land use regulations, the project proposes to amend the regulations for the density bonus and auxiliary dwelling units, commonly known as ADUs, for compliance with the state law. Single-family residential zones for removal of references to multifamily residential and maximum lot size. Multifamily residential zones to clarify the types and number of amenities. Urban lot splits to provide regulations in compliance with Senate Bill 9, which allows a single-family residential lot to be subdivided into 2 parcels to facilitate infill development. Establish appeal procedures, update the definitions section to update and add the various definitions associated with the zoning code amendment before you tonight, and other cleanup items to remove obsolete terms and procedures. The approving authority table was also amended to facilitate and streamline the process for housing development and allow the director authority to approve the following: approval of 10 units or less, approval of tentative parcel map without development, so just straight subdivision, approval of street naming requests, approval of urban lot splits, approval of parcel mergers. This amendment would also change the requirement, the approving authority requirement for tentative tract maps without legislative action, and allow for the Planning Commission to be the final approving authority. An initial study mitigation negative declaration was prepared for this project, which concluded that all potential significant impacts can be reduced to less than significant levels with mitigation measures. A notice of intent was published for 30 days. Staff received 4 comment letters, one of which was distributed today for your consideration, and that's from the Riverside County Flood Control and Water Conservation District. The other 3 letters were from City of Menifee, Lewis Group Companies, and Ted Mueller, and those letters have been addressed as part of the M&D. Responses to comments were prepared to address the comment letters. Staff also received a memo from National Court, who assisted the city with the approval and certification of the Paris housing element in 2022. The memo provides direction to the city on making adjustments to the housing opportunity areas. The memo was provided to address the request from the Lewis Company, which is the letter that was addressed as part of the M&D, the final M&D, regarding the removal of housing opportunity area 11, which is the area located south of San Jacinto. The memo includes a path forward to exclude housing opportunity area 11 by exploring the potential of including units in the downtown specific plan. Change would be documented on the annual housing progress report conducted in April of every year, including other applicable reconciliation process to accommodate the necessary regional housing needs allocation required by the state. Staff has been in discussions with the Lewis property owners and National Corps and supports the removal of the housing opportunity site 11. Should the Planning Commission support the recommendation to exclude housing opportunity area 11, staff will prepare an errata for City Council consideration. Before I conclude, I would like to read into the record modification to section 19.89080, replacement sites within chapter 19.89 for the housing opportunity area overlay zone. To read, the city shall not approve a project on any property within commercial or industrial based zone unless it is in compliance with the state law. And just leave it at that and remove the rest of the text. Also, staff would like to read into the record that if the Planning Commission recommends removal of Housing Opportunity Site 11, Resolution 24-28 would be revised to remove the properties and the appropriate APNs. So with that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt resolution numbers 24-23 through 24-28, recommending that the City Council adopt the mitigated negative declaration number 2399 and the mitigation monitoring reporting program, and approve the project consisting of the general plan amendment, specific plan amendments, zoning code and subdivision code amendments to provide opportunities for and remove unduly constraints on housing development. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions. I also have representative from National Court who assisted the city with the preparation of the housing element, if you have any more technical and detailed questions regarding the housing element.
Thank you, Patricia.
And Ben.
And Chair Hammond, if I may just add a little bit of clarification to the two changes that Planning Manager Brenes mentioned. The section 19.89.080 of the code amendment, the state law that Planning Manager Brenes was referring to is the state no net loss law. So Government Code 65863, section 65863, that's the law that would need to be complied with prior to approving a project on any property that's within the overlay zone and within a commercial or industrial base zone. So we would revise that section accordingly. And in regards to the request from Lewis, if the Planning Commission sees fit to approve that request, the specific changes to the resolution that would be needed would be in the 6th recital. We would revise that to say, instead of saying that the overlay zone is to be made applicable to the 12 housing opportunity areas, we would say to 11 of the 12 housing opportunity areas, excluding area 11. And then in attachment A to the resolution, on the second page of the attachment, we would remove the outline that refers to area 11, so that area 11 from the housing element would no longer be shown in the map in the attachment as one of the subject areas.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Did he have a presentation? Or did he have? Oh, okay.
No other presentations. Unless you have any specific questions, they're here
Okay.
to back me up.
Smart. Okay. Obviously, are there any questions with the city as they stand here or any of the staff? Alexis, long time. Doing it for how many years? We're still young, both of us, right? Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Patricia. Just have a clarifying question. So the overlay, it's not going to be a rezone. The property owner could still develop on what they originally purchased the property as, what the zoning was?
That is correct. So you're continuing to have the underlying zone, and then the overlay is another zone over that property.
So the property would be considered two zones. Okay. And can you explain why we want to remove Area 11 or exclude Area 11?
Shortly after the housing element was adopted and certified, the city received an application for a development from the property owner of the Lewis Company. That is the reason why staff is recommending removal of Housing Opportunity Area 11.
So there was plans already in works for that area.
Shortly after.
Okay.
Yeah,
Short-
so the property had been vacant for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's why, because of the proximity to residential and other criteria that is required by HCD when electing those opportunity sites, it seemed like a good site. But shortly after the housing element was adopted and certified, the property owners submitted a development application to the city.
And if we move forward with the exclusion of Area 11, will we still meet the quota of the 7,800 units?
So there is a, HCD allows for revisions to housing opportunity sites by completing an annual progress report and identifying an alternate location. In this case, staff feels that the units that would be lost with housing opportunity site 11 would be more appropriate in the downtown to allow for the densities that we need to re-energize the downtown.
So they're just being reallocated. They're not being lost completely.
No, we would not lose them. We would have to complete the annual progress report to be able to relocate or reallocate those units to the downtown area.
Got you. Thank you so much. And one more question. So if we move forward with the recommendation, does it still need approval through City Council?
The whole project needs to be taken forward to City Council because it requires a zoning code amendment, it requires legislative actions.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Patricia. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
So Patricia, you say that we're trying to not change or not allow residential units or change of zoning in residential units for commercial properties, correct?
I don't understand the question.
Or to change, so, let me get that. So or commercial properties, not to allow residential conversion, residential rezoning to allow residences in there, or? I'm trying to get clarification on that one item.
So I think there are a few properties that are zoned commercial where the housing element identified them as housing opportunity sites, and they met the criteria that's required to be identified as such. But yes, they could be developed with commercial development. However, because we are now applying a housing overlay zone, we would have to identify in the annual progress report an alternate site that would compensate for the reallocation of units.
And that's only for commercial properties?
For commercial properties, yes.
So wouldn't we be able to provide for mixed-use development on those properties where we're providing both commercial and residential?
We could. Yeah, we could. Since it's commercial and you have the overlay, if they can meet the density and also provide with a commercial component to the project, that would be great.
I would hope that we can see more of those mixed-use commercial. I mean, it benefits businesses and residential. And generally, a lot of those areas are in a location that will allow for easy access and transportation to other parts of the city as well as those areas. So in Area 11, we're just relocating those, I think it's 100 and something units in Area 11. Area 11, so we're not trying to put Area 11 in there because it would increase the required density for the current applicant of that residential zone, right?
Yes, we have an application for a commercial and industrial development. In fact, it came before you for a scoping meeting a little while ago. So since it came shortly after the housing element, staff has reconsidered the allocation of those units within Housing Opportunity Area 11 and is recommending that we allow them to be removed so that we can reallocate those units in the downtown area.
Can you specify the exact location of that element 11? I know it's around San Jacinto and
It's right.
Oh.
It's the site south of San Jacinto. I knew you were going to ask that question.
Okay, yeah. Okay, thank you for that
Welcome.
clarification.
Of course.
So this one, how many housing units would we lose with this one, or would we have to reallocate?
It's a total of 148 units, I believe.
Okay.
Correct, I have it here. It's 148 units, including 117 lower income and 31 moderate income is what was stated in the housing element.
Okay. And is this something we can do? Because we just had a scoping meeting. We haven't really moved forward with that. Is that something that was analyzed before we looked at it? Because, I mean, it was just a scoping meeting.
Yeah, we've been working with the applicants since they submitted the application and looking for the clear path that would not impact the housing element that was adopted and certified. And after multiple discussions, we have concluded that it is possible to remove Housing Opportunity Area 11 by completing the annual progress report. That has to be completed every April. So, and that's the reason why we're moving that forward for you to consider.
And this is originally zone commercial, right? All of it.
Correct.
That's kind of my struggle, where we're losing commercial either way to housing, or we're losing commercial to the, I remember the scoping meeting.
But remember, we're not discussing that project
Yeah,
at this
we're
time.
just
We're
moving,
discussing
yeah.
about the housing opportunity area.
And the city's comfortable that if we reallocate it to the downtown area, would still be beneficial to the city?
Yes.
Okay. Can we go back to the slide where the changes were, that were recommended? I think it was that one.
Or this one?
No, the previous one, please.
This one?
That one.
Okay.
So that just means, so if there was 10 units or less that were proposed, it wouldn't have to come to us.
Before, I believe it was 4 units.
Okay.
So now it's 10 units. It would be subject to the Director of Development Services approval. 10 parcel maps without development, just a straight subdivision, would be subject to the Director's approval. Street naming, it's a step before you can take a final map to City Council for approval. And streamlining the process would facilitate taking those final maps a little bit quicker to the City Council. And the whole premise for the proposal before you on these changes is to streamline the process and get those housing development projects a little faster through the process to get them to the finish line.
Okay. And then approval of parcel mergers, does that identify if it's industrial mergers, if it's commercial mergers, if it's housing mergers?
It's essentially like a lot line consolidation.
Okay.
But usually they, when you have an industrial development per se, usually they come with a development.
Okay.
You don't usually see parcel mergers for an industrial development without a project.
Yeah, okay. But it could happen if we approve this.
It could happen, but it's very, I have not seen that in my 25 years of experience, unless I don't know, there was a mistake made, but I have never seen that happen. Usually the parcel mergers come with a development, and that is to avoid having a building built over property lines, because
Okay.
that's not allowed.
I guess that's what I'm a little bit hesitant about, because it hasn't happened, because there have been, I think, guidelines around that, where now it could happen just by going to the Director of Developmental Services.
The one thing I can say is the parcel mergers are more common with residential development when they want to combine two parcels to make it a little bigger, to provide, I don't know, maybe an ADU for a family member, or to rent it out to, but that's like the one time when I have seen a parcel merger after the fact, when a house already exists, is for residential areas, but not, I have not seen it for commercial or industrial development.
Would it be able to add that,
We
just to
can-
specify, just
we-
to be more?
We can specify for residential development.
Yes, I would like,
That will make you more
just for that
comfortable.
clarification. It will make me more comfortable,
Of
yes.
course.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. My question was, if you didn't answer that clearly, is it because it's a parcel merger, is it only for residential and not for commercial or light industrial?
We can certainly make that change.
Yeah.
In addition to that, a parcel merger can occur for residential, and then on top of that, additional lot splits can occur. Can that occur in the same application? Just say it's two larger lots are merged, a total of 5 acres, and then the developer wants to come in and do, divide it into 20 lots. Can that be done in the same application, or are these separated out?
Usually they combine, usually they go through the map process because it's a lot cleaner to have the subdivision as opposed to doing a parcel merger and a subdivision. But for the urban lot split, it's for one parcel into two parcels in residential areas only.
So they still have to do a track map,
Yes, if it exceeds 4 parcels, it would be a tract
but
map.
that track map does not have to come to us.
The tract map,
Here says it does not.
the parcel maps, sorry, the parcel map. If it's 4 parcels or less, would be approved by the director. But anything after that, anything higher than that, like 5 parcels or more, would come to the planning commission. And the recommendation is that the planning commission will be the final approving authority if there is no general plan amendment or rezoning or specific plan amendment. So you'll be the final approving body
I think he was referring to tentative track map.
or tentative track map
Okay,
with a project, but without legislative actions.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have one more. For the street naming, I understand we don't want to wait a full month sometimes when we have them canceled. Would it be possible to bring those to an ad hoc committee or having a street naming subcommittee? Just because I do like the idea of feedback because we see things differently. I don't know if that is, like, we trust our current Director of Development Services fully right now, but we don't know what the future holds. So I'd feel more comfortable if the Planning Commission at least had some say without having to wait. That would make me feel a little bit more comfortable with this.
So what I can add to that is, yes, the whole purpose of changing the approving authority was to streamline the process, but also general practice in other surrounding jurisdictions is street naming is done by staff. And that expedites the process for taking a final map to City Council. Because if we add the step to go to ad hoc, that's an additional meeting that we have to schedule based on availability, so it does slow down the process. Whereas when somebody comes into the counter and provides it to staff, that's something that could be resolved in a week or 2.
Okay, and further, is this going to be permanent from now on? Because I saw that it was 2021 to 2029. Is this also going to expire or phase out at that point, or is this something that is going to go into legislation or into what's going to be practiced from here on out?
Good question. So the zoning code amendment is a permanent change unless we feel the need to come back to you to make additional changes. The housing element in the general plan is from that period that you mentioned, from 2021 through 2029. So it would have to come back and be revised and amended and go through the whole process again.
Oh, you get off easy until you get to me, right? Ain't gonna be easy now.
8 o'clock.
Not gonna be easy, no. A lot of things, and we had some good discussions before, but I just bring up points that most won't, because it just one of the things, and even look at this page, I'm gonna use a legal term, prima facie, and I think our lawyer knows what that means. Face value. A lot of power to the Director of Development Services, and you better be ethical and legal. So if some reason that person leaves, you leaving that person with a lot of power. I have a hard time. Having worked in city government, I don't like giving a lot of power to city government. I don't care where they're at. I don't, and I had it, okay? And I didn't trust me, okay? So I've been there, and it's really, Now, I'm gonna get maybe 4 points, and it can probably be addressed, but I think one of them, the understanding that this is an overlay. If you have, one of the things that we're probably looking for, I'm going to be a little long-winded. Look, for example, you have large, gigantic, massive stores with thousands of parking spaces that are useless. And this allows the opportunity to put housing in there where you normally would say mixed use and have to go through a lot to say we're going to have apartments, kind of, which all of us should be doing, even Riverside. Those places that are empty stores, and you're going to have a lot of empty stores in the future because they're brick and mortar. So you want to make sure that you have that combination. So this allows that opportunity, as long as the city isn't dictating things. Now, 30 units, in some places 50 units, and maybe Anaheim 100 units per year. But 30 units is one of those things that we're looking at, reasonable. But the idea is that it's an overlay. Now, there's some caveats to this thing too, and you know what I'm going to bring, so don't surprise. One of them, development agreements that are already intact legally cannot be changed. You got a problem here if you don't start dealing with that in some wording, because one mod is just one of them. Specifically start, I was here too, nobody else was. 2010, here's a development agreement. We didn't do it, council does it. There it is. Now what do you do with that? Got to answer that one. Number 2, flood zones, other areas where you cannot build these things. Even though the state may have this caveat, we don't have it. We should be very specific that if this area is within 500 feet of that, what is it, San Jacinto River or something, there's things that can't be built there, but that's that person's property. So those things have to make sure. The other thing is the caveat, is the owner of those properties it can be transferred to has to agree to it. So if I'm saying, unless the city owns the property like they do next to the theater, you're saying, oh, now I'm going to transfer these units there. No, I don't want you to transfer to them. So what do you do then if that guy's in overlay zone? I'm finding 1,800 units I just replaced, like 11, if we vote for that. I'm replacing those 700, 1,000, and putting them in 9. That owner has to agree to that too. Okay, so those are things, the caveats that will come out because we're practical people up here. You know, there's La La Land, there's Disney World, but then there's a reality that we face. Okay, and I'm reality. Okay, so if you think you're not going to face it, you are going to face it. Okay, so the last thing is, and one thing we have to really be clear about is affordability. The state's not going to give us any money unless there are grants and things. So if you want affordable housing, and we can all define what affordability is. You go from city to city and you go to Manhattan Beach, they laugh at you and say affordability. Yeah, it's going to be 4,000 and up. San Diego, 5,000 and up. So what is affordability in terms of moving that project, meeting the affordability guidelines? 100%, I know HUD. I already know the HUD stuff. I've been through HUD. But again, affordability means you're not market rate. So if you're not going to do market rate, you're going to have to give incentives in order to do it lower than that. I always mention that project in Los Angeles where there's a Costco on the bottom. They're only doing it because Costco's on the bottom. There's no way city, and I worked in housing. I'm an expert in that area. I know housing would never, ever get that approved. if it wasn't for Costco. So Costco made that project happen at $1,000 a month rent. So what I'm saying is, and I know I'm throwing it out there, but I'm throwing it out there for a reason. I'm kind of asking for the community and not just us, is that these are some issues you probably have answers for. I'm beating up on you, Patricia. Nicely, right?
With a smile.
With a smile. But I throw these out not to beat up on the staff. I'm just saying these are issues that should be addressed. You got a lot of owners out there that may know about it but not understand it. But even the commission, when we say overlay, we're saying you have the possibility of adding up to 30 units, which I've been in favor of multifamily for a long time. I think we have too much single family. We need to make them mixed use. We need to do these things, but do it in a way that's going to be reasonable. Downtown specific plan, which I help work on too, is one of those areas where you have a lot of potential areas. And we're fortunate in Paris because you do have a lot of empty space that has been utilized. So we're really better off in that sense, where we're not tearing down a whole bunch of buildings and have to build it, then you got a problem. So in that sense, the positive sense, there's an opportunity. So I've thrown a lot out there. Those are four of the things that came to mind. Incidentally, that project, Area 11, it originally was a Kmart. I'm not going to go into the fact why they picked that one. But their argument was not enough rooftops. Well, that's 1999. There weren't enough rooftops. They built it anyway. Okay? But that area was always designated. Lewis was, for the last 14 years, we're going to build this, we're going to build this, we're going to build that. And the economy is a driving force. That's the point. It's the economy. But the idea of mixed use, and I will point to positive and stop, the mixed use concept of putting it on these lots is a gold star. To not doing that, to me, is really a horrible thing for cities not doing that. So if you got these large parking lots no one's parking in, take that as an advantage. You can do mixed use there, apartments, and you can put studios, you can put yoga studios, piano things in the bottom, and you still have your head rooftops right there. So from that sense, it makes sense. So I'm asking these questions about, these are the four issues, the primary issues. I'm sure you have response, but four areas that I think are major concerns. Doesn't mean about yes or no on this project. I'm just saying these are major concerns that need to be addressed, especially development agreements that are signed in blood. So what do you do with those, and how is that going to be interact with the state when they say, well, we're taking it away, wait a minute, we have a development agreement. What happens with something like that? Stop. Okay.
So with the development agreement, we would let it run its course. That does not stop the application of an overlay zone because it's not taken away from the underlying zone of the property. If it comes to where there's a project that comes forward and that project that was previously approved for that site with a development agreement, we would have that conversation or discussions with the property owner and the applicant. With respect to flood zones, projects need to comply with a California building code and any requirements from engineering regarding flood zone areas. With regards to letting the property owners know. So with the project before you today, we sent notices to the property owners and all the property owners within 300 feet. We also published an 8th-page ad in the local newspaper to advise everyone of the project that's moving forward. I do want to emphasize that this project is implementing the housing element that was approved and certified back in 2022. And the housing opportunity sites are included in the housing element. And there was a lot of work went into selecting those sites to ensure that they comply with the criteria that's required by HCD. And regarding the affordability, they would have to comply with the state requirements for affordable units. I know there's I want to say an agreement or a covenant that would need to be signed to ensure that those units remain affordable for, 50 years? 55 years. So it's not something that they can unduly just say, this is going to be affordable, and then turn around and turn it into market rate apartment or units. There's an agreement that has, or a covenant that's recorded to ensure that those units remain affordable for 55 years. And those were your 4 points, right?
Okay, thank you, Patricia. I know, it seems like I'm beating up, I'm not. One of the things too, let me give you a scenario. If I owned an area commercial and I'm in this zone, I'm not gonna say 11, and 9, and it's an overlay zone, and all of a sudden, okay, I had industrial or commercial there, and you have to move 1,800 units somewhere else, maybe in area 6. And in area 6 or whatever other area, that owner there of that property needs to be in agreement, I'm assuming, with that. But you have to, in order to get that a commercial aspect and you have an overlay zone, you would have to identify those other areas specifically. And there would need to be probably residential areas that may be single family and now have to be multifamily. Would it be true that you'd have to identify those areas in order to move those number of units to that area, and that person would have to agree to it? Am I wrong with that?
Chair Hammond, the other person would not have to agree to it. That's the change that we recommended in section 19.89.080 of the code. It did say that as initially drafted, but we're recommending changing that to just defer to compliance with state no net loss law, which does not require that the owner of the identified alternative site agree to their site being made a housing site inventory in the housing element, or agree to the application of the housing overlay zone to the site. So that would not be a requirement, that the alternative property owner agree. Of course, they could always, pursue their legal remedies if they felt that there was something, wrong with the way that the city did it, but they wouldn't need to voluntarily say, yeah, that's good with me, kind of thing. Just like any normal rezoning.
Okay, that makes sense. I guess, and I'll be more specific now because this is a big issue, and if we want to send it up, we need to understand it. Not saying we disagree, I'm just saying, if you moved, I don't want to get specific. If you moved 2,000, that was residential plan, and you're moving 2,000 units because you want to put commercial in there. Now, you'd have to identify 2,000 units in another location, otherwise the arena number goes down. And so you'd have to identify another place, which puts a lot of pressure on you to change residential. In essence, to change residential to commercial, hopefully not light industrial, but to commercial, you'd have to move that somewhere else and identify one of those housing opportunities to move those 2,000 units. So that would be incumbent on the person who's moving that to another residential thing, and he'd have to negotiate with that owner. Am I right? In essence, yeah. Okay.
Yes, you would have to allocate another site.
Okay.
But it depends on the number of units. In this case, site area 11, it's 148.
Oh, that was, yeah, that
it's
was.
148 units.
Yeah.
So that's why staff feels comfortable concurring with the reallocation of the units in the downtown area, because we feel that it's going to help energize the downtown and achieve the goals and policies that are in the downtown specific plan.
Yeah. Not disagreeing with that. You know that.
Just a quick question. If that Zone 11 gets approved, what is currently going through the application process, if it gets approved and it sits there, never gets built, and the application expires, we can't go back and request that it goes back into this zone.
Let me bring Alexa to help us answer that technical question.
Just tell the rest of them who you are, Alexis.
Sure. Good evening. Alexa Washburn with National Community Renaissance. I actually was a consultant that worked on the city's 4th, 5th, and 6th cycle housing elements, so we go back a long ways. But to answer your specific question, so in talking specifically about Area 11, for example, one of the reasons that we selected the downtown specific plan is because the zoning is already in place. The capacity is there to accommodate thousands of units within the downtown without having to make any adjustments, to the specific plan or to the zoning. And so that then creates the activity that you want downtown. Now, if the development does not, let's say the proposed development application that's within the city, it gets approved, but it is never developed, you still have that capacity within the downtown. Where you could then re-identify Area 11, the appropriate timing would be in your next housing element cycle. So keep in mind, you need to update your housing element every 8 years. So we're gonna start the 7th cycle again, probably in about 2027. And then that's when you take a fresh look at what sites are most ripe within the city for, for residential development.
And then at that time, the arena numbers most likely will increase, correct?
We don't know. It's interesting because in the 5th cycle, the RENA numbers went down, right? But then in the 6th cycle, they boosted back up. So it's very cyclical. It really depends on a lot of different factors in place at that time.
Okay.
No, thank you, Alexis, and I appreciate it. That at least we have some understanding that it's an overlay zone. We have a lot of overlay zones, but this is a different one, and we're talking housing, which multifamily housing you don't have to sell me on. Okay, I mean mixed use. If it was up to me, you would have some serious apartments here, lots of them. But it's not up to me because I own the property. But the idea is that this general direction is allowing the opportunity for it, like 4th Street as an example, where you have a lot of open space and can use a lot of this instead of some of the things. At least you could have a commercial and or option of mixed use housing there without having to go through all the things that you have to do to change the zoning, to go back to ERs, go back to all the other things. The infrastructure things, if you know it's an overlay zone, then there's infrastructure questions. I'm sure the engineer knows. And those are costly things, especially when it gets to residential. So it's the idea that it allows for the possibility. I think the other caveat is affordability in the sense of grants, loans, because the state likes to dictate things. I hate to say it. I used to deal with HCD. They like to dictate things and no money. And they're very adamant about what you need to do, and I'm saying, okay, show us the money, and they run away. Okay? And I'm just saying on record, they always do that. So it comes down to subsidizing these apartment buildings and things like that, and giving them incentives to do. It starts with if you say that you're going to have an overlay zone and housing and that you can do, and otherwise the zoning changes it can be murderous and time-consuming. So if you say you have an overlay zone and you specifically identify it, maybe they'll have some creative ideas about what they can do. So this open space, there's a lot of dirt lots. As we know, there's a lot of dirt lots. Nothing is happening. So yeah, I appreciate the presentation. Thank you. You'll probably have to repeat that because I have no idea. But anything else, guys? And we're all aware of where Area 11 is, right? It's, if you know the old, that boating place which closed down. Yeah. It's right across from DPSS, that area. And the whole development was originally supposed to be a theater and all kinds of stuff there, so we don't know what's going to happen. But that area, San Jacinto. And there's houses right across the street, and a park, Skydive Park and DPS. Okay, we all got it. Anything else for staff?
No, I feel, I agree with you. I hesitate with so much power given to the Director of Developmental Services because this is permanent, and I'm like you, I like checks and balances, and I like balance of power. I don't like things too heavy on one side or the other. So I understand the reason we're doing this, but I'm struggling with checks and balances a little. So I do appreciate that we're gonna add that we're, being a little bit more specific. And I know that other jurisdictions do their street naming and it's all staff, but it shows when, wait, that didn't come out nicely.
We have to live with these street
We have
names.
to live with these names, and because staff usually does not live in the community, they're like, yeah, whatever you pick. So there are times where you're driving through different cities and you see the street name and you're like, really, somebody okayed this? Somebody would approve this? And I know our current director wouldn't, but I don't know, it's not a forever position, although we wish it was.
And one of the most basic common sense things, reasons why you do it, because those that live in the community know who's historically important in the community. Clarence Muse, they would know that if you worked here. But having lived here, Cesar Chavez, we know the people in this community. We know the Rita Rogers, if they need to name the street after it. We know these people. And we've got to see it every day and get criticized as we do. But we at least take full ownership of that. That's the only thing. Whereas if I worked in LA right now and I was living out here, I would name something in LA. No way. I'm not going to live there. So I would say I could do anything I wanted, and I pretty much did. But I'm 75 miles away. It's nothing personal, but I'm making a decision for somebody who lives there and down the street. What? Yeah. So think of it that way as opposed to beating up staff. But otherwise, I'm okay. Okay, guys? Okay.
So is that actually an option that we can revise the authority table?
Yes, it's within your purview to make a different recommendation that we can take to city council.
And I think we should make clear exactly what section we're talking about in
Okay.
the code amendment.
Now, right now, I'm not sure with the street, I guess the main thing is the street naming request. Not saying the ultimate decision, but the idea that, we kind of like, and I'm not sure where that is. Street naming has usually been under the purview of the planning commission, and that's minor compared to all this, but it's still,
And I see where it's located in the code amendment, which is the attachment to Resolution 24-27. In Chapter 19.54, Section 19.54.030, it has the table of the review and approval authorities. And street naming is listed there, and it shows the change from Planning Commission being the approval authority to Director of Development Services. So are you saying the recommendation should be to change that back? Okay, that's clear.
and trust me, we don't hold up stuff. We don't. Very fast, maybe the fastest in the state. We do not hold up street names. So that's, that's not even, as long as it's not really crazy, street.
I mean, the process to name a street, you still have to go through it and get
Oh,
civil
yeah.
engineering and everything else like
Oh, yeah.
that. So it's not a,
And the county and the fire department have to say, this makes sense. There's no bypassing that, but as far as us,
not a quick overnight decision for anybody. And even the developer has their due diligence to do, so.
okay, but that's pretty easy. Okay, anything else, Sally?
No, just that one, and then also where we talked about specifying was it the parcel mergers?
That's
Just
correct.
Those are the only two that I really had.
Yeah, so I think there, again, we should identify the specific section we're talking about and make
Yes.
sure we're clear
Yeah.
on the change.
Yeah.
Yes,
So do you have this section in mind, or did you want me to look it up?
Would you look it up, please, just the approval of parcel mergers? We wanted to
It
just.
should be on the same table.
On same table?
The same table?
Just specifying that this is for
Residential.
residential, yes.
Is that tentative parcel maps, or did you say parcel mergers?
Parcel mergers.
Do you see where it is, Patricia?
I,
Let me pull it up too.
Because there's a portion of the subdivision ordinance amendment near the beginning of the code amendment that talks about there's an ordinance that the city would be enacting to authorize parcel mergers. I don't know if that section's clear on what the approval authority would be, but that's separate from this table. And I don't see in this table anything about parcel mergers. I do see something about tentative parcel maps. And it says that the authority for approval of tentative parcel maps without development would change from the Planning Commission to the Director of Development Services. But again, that's for a split or a subdivision of up to 4, from one parcel to up to 4, versus merging multiple into one.
Okay. And this one basically talking about 10 units.
Yeah.
10 units, which,
The
I
10
apologize.
unit-
It's not on the table. It's in section
That's what I
18.02120.
thought.
Oh, that's the one that, yes, okay,
Yes.
thank you.
very good, Patricia.
So 18.21, you said? Or 18.12? 18.21.020?
2120.
And in that will specify that the approval authority will be the Planning Commission?
No, it would be the director, but only for residential development.
Okay, so director is the approval authority, and the lot mergers the applications can only be for residential development?
Yes.
Yes.
Or the approvals can
Yeah,
only
the
be for-
approval.
Okay.
Approval of residential parcel mergers, yes.
Okay, so we'll make both of those changes in
Yeah,
in
like-
chapter 18.21.
Right, I think the key was residential. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. Anything else, guys? This is the detailed one. Yeah, okay. Well, there's no applicant, so, boy. And you're asking, oh, here we go. Oh, boy. I'm not going to even attempt to read the changes, but I'll let you guys do it. But requested action.
Well, have you opened the public hearing yet?
It's,
I think we should
Oh,
open
yeah,
the floor for
okay,
public
you're
comment.
right, because this is the city, the fact of the city that threw me off. Okay. The city,
still a public hearing,
Yeah, you're
correct?
right, you're right. We might be surprised, we get talking too much. Okay, we now open it up for public comment. Anyone in the public wishing to come forward at this time is welcome to come to the podium and have your 3 minutes. We have to do it legally. Okay, we close the public comment portion. And, we had a lot of discussion here, but any further discussion on this item? Yeah? No, okay. Okay. Let me read this. I'll skip the part and talk about the requested action. Adopt resolution 24-23, 24-24, 24-25, 24-26, 24-27, and 24-28, recommending that the City Council adopt a mitigated negative declaration number 2399 and the mitigation monitoring and reporting program and approve general plan amendment 24-05206, specific plan amendment 24-05207, zoning and subdivision amendments 24-05184 to provide opportunities for and remove unduly constraints on housing development. And there were a series of amendments. And I don't know that I would even attempt to try to read it, but I can turn it over to whoever.
I can help you out with that.
Thank
So,
you.
Just to clarify, that the motion, or if you're entertaining a motion, the planning commission should make clear
Yes.
whether the motion includes the changes to resolution number 24-27, which is the resolution recommending the amendments to the zoning code text as well as the subdivision ordinance text. And we discussed what those amendments would be. And then additionally, there would be the changes to resolution number 24-28,
Exclusion of Area 11, right.
which is the resolution adopting that would recommend city council approval of the zoning map amendment. And that would be the change that I described relating to the 6th recital and the attachment to remove Area 11.
Very good. And that's why it's here.
And also the modifications that were requested to the approving authority table, did you already include that? Okay, all right.
Right. Definitely, thank you. That should do it. Now, those are the amendments, and we have a motion. I don't know if we have to say it verbally to adopt. Yeah, we can't, yeah.
I will make a motion.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Isaac Lopez
I second.
and seconded by Commissioner Jimenez. Okay.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes?
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Shively,
Yes.
Chair Hammond,
Yes.
with 4 yes and 0 no, this motion is approved.
And I want to sincerely thank staff for their cooperation and help in this very good proposal. We didn't work you over too bad, hopefully. She's still smiling, so it's not that bad. Definitely good singing, Alexis, I know. We're old timers, but we're still in our 20s, so what can I say, right? Yeah. I said it on the record, 20s, right? Yeah, I know. I wish, right? Okay. At this time, we move on to public comments. And anyone in the public wishing to address the planning commission may do so at this time on items not on the agenda. And they can walk up to the podium and wait for the chairperson to recognize you. And obviously, okay, thanks. If this time we open it up, we don't have Zoom anymore. Of course, we got rid of that a long time ago. But anyway, public comment. And seeing none, we close the public comment. Hey, what's going on here? Oh, business items, item 8. We have no business items that I know of. So we moved on to commission members, announcements, or reports. We're doing pretty good. It's not 12 o'clock.
I had the privilege of attending the Christmas parade this past weekend. It was so much fun seeing the residents out there. I noticed that Hammond and Elizabeth were very popular during the parade. People were yelling at them, like, "Hey, I know you, I know you." Yeah, so it's good to have some celebrities right here on the commission. But yeah, I had a great time. It was fun seeing the residences and just being out there and just being out with the city staff. So this is the last meeting of the year. I just want to congratulate everyone and thank everyone for a great year. We had a lot of ups and downs, but it was overall very productive and very useful for us and for the community. So I just want to thank you guys for this past 2024. And I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, and I wish everybody a good night.
Go ahead. Okay. So same, I attended the parade and it was so much fun. My oldest actually walked with me for the first time ever because she's usually with the band. This time she wanted to walk with me and see what it was like. And she really liked the response from our community. We, because we're a band family, we visit different holiday parades through different cities and the consensus is Paris has the best one. So I agree. They like that it's like smaller streets, that it's decorated, the vibes, the people are just happier. So yeah, and I've missed a couple of planning commission meetings. We had a loss in our family. It was a family emergency and we had a loss. So I appreciate you all being supportive and understanding. It's been really tough on our family, especially around the holidays. Another friend of mine also had a loss in her family. So there's been a lot of loss during this holiday season. So I'm sending everybody positive thoughts, hoping this is time to reconnect with family and unite. I did have a comment about the Lewis commercial development that we're talking about, just because I've had a lot of questions about what's coming there because it just says a commercial. It doesn't specify anymore. So I'm like, go to the planning commission meetings and look that up. So I won't elaborate, but just, it would be nice to have something more, I think, concrete of what has been proposed instead of just commercial would be nice, just so that it's clear. Not that it's bad, just I think being transparent with our community would be good, just that they know. Also, this is our last meeting, so happy holidays, everyone. And I hope everybody gets up bright and early January 1st to watch the Rancho Verde Crimson Regiment march, the Rose Parade. Yeah, they're going to be there again. So look for front row trombones. My oldest is going to be there. And then in the drum line, look for my youngest, too. They're going to be the last band, so even if you don't get up early, you'll still get a chance to see them. They are the only, I think, Inland Empire band that has been invited twice. This is their second time going back, and it's amazing. And then January 2nd, they'll be in Disneyland. Yes. So I'll be at Disneyland. So get up, join, watch, celebrate our I know it's the high school's in Moreno Valley, but it belongs to a district that encompasses both cities. So I really hope we all get up and support our local youth in doing something that is recognized worldwide. So congratulations again to the Rancho Verde Crimson Regiment, their director, Hatuk, who works endlessly, and all the staff. And a special shout out to the booster parents that go to every single event, make sure our kids are fed, taken care of. If there are injuries, like those booster parents take care of every single one of those kids like they're their own. So huge, huge shout out to those booster parents.
Well, after that
statement. You're probably very glad we're not having the January 1st meeting because you'd be very tired. After doing a very long parade walk, the meeting, and then being in Disneyland, it'll be very tough. I want to definitely wish everybody a happy holidays, be very safe for the New Year's, and when you go and visit your family, make sure you're doing it cautiously. So I wish everybody a good season, and we'll definitely see you at the beginning of the new year. Want to thank everybody. I think we definitely had a very successful planning commission this year, and I look forward to next year to continue. I enjoyed the parade as well, and watching your daughter enjoy it, actually sitting in the tent and watching everybody walk by. That was that gave her a different experience of being in the parade versus walking the parade. It gave me the opportunity that my daughter actually walked the first year as well, which is, I wish she actually had more opportunities to do it with me beforehand. So I'm glad that she got to the experience to walk. Gave me the opportunity to show her what we did up here and the experience of the view of the dais instead of out there in the public area. So I appreciate that. And again, wish everybody Happy New Year, and we'll see you guys early next year.
Thank you, thank you. I want to first thank my fellow commissioners for their dedication. I don't always often hear, but I'm going to say it. If I'm going to be here, I thank people. I don't just take for granted people, because this is a sacrifice. And some of the things that we do and read that people don't understand because they've never done this, it is a sacrifice, but it's a willing sacrifice. And you willingly come up here and you happily serve, and this is a service to the city, no matter whether it's 20 years or whether it's 3 years or 5 years, it doesn't matter. It's giving to the city back and we live here as residents, so you feel like you're producing something. And I appreciate staff, because staff is, I keep saying this, as really excellent staff. Yes, you too, Sylvie. No. I've known her a while. I can get away with that for her. You know, she'll beat me up later. That's okay. She does so much that is way off of the records that you just don't realize. I know, because I got to sign a bunch of resolutions later. but I really appreciate it. She goes out of her way. I see her 7:30 in the morning dropping off some maps. I'm like, who the heck is this coming and dropping it off? And now she knows where I live, so I got to be quiet, right? Real quiet. But we had a great parade. It was a great parade. It was like 1,500, 1,000. This had to be over 1,000 people. Gosh, I mean, you know. And we got to the parade. Nobody beat us up. Nobody said anything. Said, oh, the warehouses, be quiet. Okay. We're having a good time today. Stop, okay? You know, but they all enjoyed it. And they know that a lot of good things are happening. Raising Cane's will be coming. And a few other things we're not mentioning. But at least, you know, we're on the move and it's progress. And you always have to accentuate the positive. There's enough other things going on. But it's been quite a year, roller coaster. Thank you, Patricia, for putting up with me. He's going, yeah, another year, that guy. But all of staff, and especially Brad. I'll be coming to visit you guys. I told John, I'm going to come in and I'm going to surprise you. You better be working, too. But I have one request for an agenda item. You know I'm not going to get away with this, right, for next year. It involves, and I did talk to one of our councilmen about this, and he's, oh, yeah, good. I know you're not going to remember it because it's a parade. That we have Public Works here to discuss the potential of street numbers on actual street signs. So we put numbers 100 block, 200 block, 300 block, real basic 100% high school level stuff. But I'm saying this is a need because you want to identify streets. So my wife has always been on me about this for years. Everyone says, what is 100 block about? I don't know. What's 50? I don't know. You know what? I don't know. You want to say this is 100 block east, 100 block west. Very simple. Tape them on the sign if you have to. But that is something, and I think it would be agendized, Public Works, whoever does it. I would love to have them come and explain at least what it would mean. And we're not saying we decided, but at least we can make a recommendation if that is the desire of the commission. But it is streets. And we have a lot of streets coming in, and nobody knows where they're going. You know, and the fire department likes numbers too, guys. I'm here to let you know. What is the 200 block of Nuevo? Huh? Is it east or west? I don't People come out of the cities, what do you mean, the 1400 block? What? Okay, what is South Paris? What is North Paris Boulevard? So you see where I'm going. So that's within our purview. So I would really appreciate that at some distant time in the future to have some, at least presentation, and we could take it from there if we so desire. Okay? I think other than that, we've got a lot of stuff going to be packed in, I'm pretty sure, on the 18th of January. That's a long time in between. But I really appreciate it. And to all members of the public, you have a wonderful staff. If you have issues, we know there's a lot of things, maybe fixing the freeway, hopefully. But that it can be discussed future. But feel free, because we have a wonderful staff. They're open, and they can come and visit at any time. And thank you for giving us a roster of when we will meet. Okay, and so we appreciate it. Thank you, Sylvia. She's on top of stuff. Thank you to our new city attorney. I know you're going, who are these guys? But you're starting to see how we're very fun. I don't know about these other cities, but we're a lot of fun. But we're serious about what we do, but we're fun too, because we're human beings, right? Anyway, with that, I turn over to the director. No, I'm saying the director, planning manager. Don't be the director.
Thank you for the promotion.
Yeah, planning manager. Hey, I'd love to.
You went on record with that. Well, I don't have any events to share with you. You do have the night off on January 1st. I do want to say that how much we appreciate all your hard work and your endless volunteer hours to come prepared to Planning Commission to ensure that the projects before you are going to make this community a better place to play, live, and work. So thank you so much, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you and everyone out there, and to you, sir. And enjoy it. And to our person sitting in there, I should have him come out and introduce himself for a question. Come on. Just say, okay. All right. And to our IT people or audio people, so they look at her. She's giving me a look already. She's like, "Get out of here, Dwayne. Shut up." Okay, I promise. She's a good singer. Good singer, too. Beautiful. My goodness, yeah, she really can sing. Okay, and with that, I'm going to, with the approval of the commission, I'd like to adjourn this meeting, it's not a sad one, in honor of Rita Rogers, who from 1999 to 2024 served the city of Paris diligently. When they had budget crisis, and you guys weren't here when they had a budget crisis, it was serious, okay? Almost no city after that. It was almost boom, shut up. It was that bad, and they held the fort back then. So they, for 25 years, I'd like to honor that person and adjourn to that purpose. Unfortunately, now I'm the oldest serving member, even though I'm only 49, okay? I keep going down. But that's this privilege, just be able to be here. And like she says, she's a willing servant. I have the same. And she brought me in, along with Michael Morales, so you can get him, okay? Yeah, it's his fault. He brought me in here. Anyway, thank you, and we adjourn. And pretty much anyone can move it. You put the names down, move second, it doesn't matter. We are adjourning officially.
I thought she made a motion, so I'll second.
Yeah. At approximately, I'm playing mayor now at, 8:27 p.m. Good night and have a happy holidays.